What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Collector's Corner. As always, I'm Chris,
Trey.
and today we are shifting gears. We've been spending a lot of time on sports cards, something you and I are both really passionate about. But today's all about something that started a long, long time ago, well before sports cards.
Another passion, right?
Another passion,
Yep.
something we grew up with, something near and dear. You wear them every day. We're talking sneakers.
Sneakers.
So for all the sneakerheads out there, tune in. Today is all about getting to know us a little bit better, finding out our passion behind why we're into sneakers. We're going to share some of our favorite sneakers. We're going to give you some insights into what you can look forward to in the next few episodes. So
Yep.
let's talk sneakers, Trey.
So
Where's this love passion begin?
funny story, man. I was actually in the sneaker game before I started the sports card game. But I mean, kind of sort of like we grow up as kids collecting cards.
Right.
But as an adult, my first collection was sneakers first.
Really?
Yep. And then I had a crazy amount of sneakers. I would, look at every release, and we're gonna get into all this good stuff.
Yeah,
It's gonna make sense to you. But my mom owned a store when I was little. It was called M&M Fashion, her and her friend.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
she had I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Tommy Hilfiger in there. You remember the Nike track jackets?
Oh, yeah.
Where you can hear the
For sure.
yep. So I had those. What else was that? Coogee, like all kind of different old school brands that were in
Okay.
there. And so my mom always like dressed me and my brother with like
Yeah.
the latest and greatest, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my true passion from shoes came from is my mom. She has a crazy amount of heels and stuff too. So
Okay.
how about you?
Similar. I grew up, obviously, like there were phases, right?
Yeah.
So you grow up and you get the Keds, the
Yep.
old like the
Oh,
Velcro
you said
snaps
my
on.
man took
I'm
it
going
way back.
We're going way, way back. Listen, I'm older. I might look like I got the face of a 30-year-old, but I'm pushing almost 50, believe it or not. So for me, it all started with back in the day in the 70s when I was little kid.
Yep.
Chuck Taylor All Stars were
Yep.
popular, so I had to have those in every single color that they made.
That was the Jordans before Jordan.
Jordan before Jordan. And
Yeah.
that was the cool shoe to have. And then come the 80s, and you want to be like Mike and
Yeah.
the Wheaties commercials and all
Yeah.
those things. So my mom, single mom, working two jobs, would save up to go out and buy us Air Jordans.
Mhm.
First shoes I ever really wanted, first collectibles. You know the first thing we did when we got those Air Jordans
Oh,
was?
probably hopped on a bike and rode down the street on a
That
bicycle.
was number one. Number two, we took pens and you pop the air
Oh
bubbles out
my
the bottom of the
God.
Jordan. So brand
Listen.
new pair of Jordans, and we're popping air bubbles on Jordans.
Kids, if you're watching this podcast episode, please don't pop your air bubble on your shoes.
That was just the thing to do. So I kind of grew up on there, and then my interest got piqued in the skateboard.
Yep.
And so I got an older brother, he's 2 years older, a big skateboarder. And so, it wasn't until later on. In fact, Nike SB is my favorite brand of sneakers.
Mhm.
SB stands for skateboarding. They're a deviation off of the regular Nike Dunks. We'll talk about specifics of what makes them specific to skateboarding, but they didn't start until 2002, believe
Yeah.
it or not. But once they came about, that we were all on board because I grew up going, trying to skateboard. There's a professional skateboarder. His name was Denny Reardon. He owned a shop down the street from us.
Okay.
And birthdays are really big in my house. So for my 16th birthday, my mom got him to come and do a professional skate session at
That's
the
sick.
skate park. He came out, gave us some shoes, all those kind of things. So I've been in love
That's
with
sick.
Nike SBs. And now that I'm older and can afford some of these shoes that are now $500 to $1,000 a pair,
Yeah.
it kind of brings me right back to that spot.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's I mean, not a lot of people get that kind of experience, like, and as a kid, when you get that experience, it's something that sticks with you.
For sure.
It's almost like sports cards. You go into an NFL game and you're a kid holding up a jersey and your favorite athlete comes up beside it. You'll probably be
Yeah.
forever a fan of that guy. So yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about we saw our backstory as far as like how we got into shoes and things like that. Let's talk about where shoes are in the past 5 years. Like, what do you think made the shoe explosion happen when it comes to just obtaining them?
I mean, I think it's a variety of things. I think as all good companies do, what they find a way to do from a marketing perspective
Yeah.
is crucial to how they explode.
Yeah.
And what Nike has done really well, it started way back in the 80s with Jordan.
Yeah.
That collaboration and Jordan's decision to go Nike over Reebok,
Yeah.
that set the tone for Nike's future.
And if you have not seen that movie, that is a good movie to watch. What's it called? Air?
I would
Yeah,
highly recommend
that's
it.
a
It's a
good
great
movie.
movie. Gives the whole backstory behind it. But then what they do is they just don't stop that marketing train.
Yeah.
They've got from celebrity spokespeople to collaborations that are done, talking specifically on the SB side of things, they've got collaborations with Grateful Dead SBs that are
Yeah.
out there. The Travis Scott, which appeals to a whole new audience of people that may have never seen SBs before.
Yeah.
Now you get these millennials that are out there and they're huge fans of Travis Scott, and now they're buying in the Travis Scott shoes. And they've got Zion Williamson, the Voodoo
Yeah.
Dunks that came out. And so all of these collaborations really lend themselves to, pop culture, and
Yeah.
it crosses barriers.
Yeah. And that's kind of like I would give the same point, like I am big on collaborations.
Mhm.
Like when it comes to shoes, I mean, pretty much anything, but shoes. That's why you see we have the brick by brick right here. Just obtained these this past weekend. They just came out, and it's a collaboration with Nigel Sylvester
Yeah.
and Team Jordan. So Michael Jordan shoes, and he's on the other side of it. So he's more of a BMX guy. And you talk about
Right.
the skateboarding. So just we'll touch on the shoes we have here. So this box right here, it's called a brick by brick because New York City is where he grew up, and yeah, it actually feels like a brick.
Yeah, it's wild.
It has the texture of an actual brick, and that's what he came out with. It's two different meanings with it. It's every day you're grinding, you're trying to get somewhere. You got to build that foundation brick by brick,
Yeah.
and it's also all these brick buildings in New York City that he's BMXing through
That's cool.
downtown and stuff. That's why he came out with the brick by brick. So if you look at it, the shoe is actually it's a couple of different colors, I think.
The details on this are crazy.
It's nuts. So I mean, the suede nubuck material here, like if you move it one way, it actually changes color. So it's not red, it's not orange, it's just a weird, it's like a brick.
bricks.
Yeah, it's like a brick.
bricks.
It's like a brick. He also, talking about the toe box right here, he made this like a hard material because when you're BMX riding, you're grinding out rails and falling
Right.
and scraping and all kind of things. So that's why I put that material there. But that's why I like collaborations. I like
Yeah.
shoes that come with a story.
For sure.
I just don't like the pandas, right? Panda dunks. You go in, it's a black and white dunk. You go buy it because it's black and white. Boom, you move on. I like the story and the backstories that comes with actual collaborations.
For sure. I'll throw a shout out there though. We're going to get into all this, but Panda Dunk wearers out there, keep wearing your Panda Dunks though, because it may not be for everybody, but if it's for you, wear what you love. That's what I always say.
For sure.
The points that you made about this shoe are the exact
Yeah.
reasons why I love Nike SBs.
Yeah.
And because if you're an SB collector, if you're new to it, every single shoe has a story to tell. They're made specifically to your point for skateboarding. So they're going to have a little bit more reinforcement around the toe box in here. The tongue on the shoe is going to be a thicker material, super thick. So these were meant to be skateboarded in, and these were meant to be worn. And so what I love about the shoes is that every one of them is going to have a backstory to it.
Mhm.
And when you're wearing them out in public, it's just a conversation piece. It's not a look at me show off thing. It's a like I want to share my passion.
Yeah.
And so you're going to stop me and I'm going to ask, man, those are cool shoes. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And then that whole story that you just shared, I mean, I never knew that.
Exactly.
That's brand new to me.
Yep. So it's just cool, man. And it even the back of these, like how Nike has Nike on the back, but these actually say bike.
Yeah.
Funny story, man. I'm gonna talk about my wife for a second. So this is
Mhm.
hilarious. Okay. Hope you're ready for this. So I get the shoe, right? She sees it, I'm looking at it or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it typically says Nike on the back. So she see that, she said, why does it say Bikey? So I stopped and I was like, did you really just ask me about this shoe saying Bikey?
Clearly.
And I talked to her about the bicycles and stuff. And I'm like, what do you also call a bicycle? A bike. And she just started laughing. So it's crazy that like people just automatically like Nike and you replace it with another letter. And then now they think bikey, which is hilarious.
Funny.
Yeah. So these are the air bubbles at the bottom that Chris talked about right here. These are the ones he popped. Like I said,
with the pen.
Please don't pop your air bubbles. But just the shoe in general, man, like you said, it tells a story. It is a conversation piece.
Yeah.
But also, you remember, like, whenever I get certain shoes, like the Allen Iversons, the Answers, I had those growing up. I remember we didn't have a mall in Lenore where I'm from. So my mom found a store in Winston, and she drove to Winston from Lenore to pick up those shoes for me on release day. So
that's cool.
When you obtain this shoe, like, it's like a moment in time where you remember exactly where you were whenever you got that shoe, at what point of life and everything. So
it's like music. It brings you right back to that place in time and stuff. And listen, here's the thing too. We are the collector's corner. So shoes are a huge collector's item.
Yes.
So we talk about value and we're going to get into all of that. So the future episodes we're going to have on this are going to be very similar to our sports cards. We're going to talk about how to obtain them, the best opportunities, how to move them within the market. But shoes are an absolute collector's item.
100%.
We have shoes that go for $20,000, $30,000. When we're talking about these Nike SBs, there's a Paris Nike SB, there's a London Nike SB.
Yep.
Super limited in quantity, and the fine ones that are what they call dead stock, which means they've never touched a foot, they've never been worn.
Yeah.
Those shoes can run $20,000, $30,000 plus.
Yeah. And you can also trade shoes just like you do sports cards. If I have, let's say I go on the sneakers app and I hit on these shoes and I don't necessarily care for them, but I understand it's a hot commodity and it's going to go up just like stock market. The price goes up over time. I could take that shoe and now trade it for something I really like. Let's say I'm an SB guy, but you have a Travis Scott Jordan.
Yeah.
Then you can just trade that shoe around and move like that as far as like in the market. But yeah, shoes are very much so a collectible. They go up in value, they can go down in value. They can become, even if you wear them, people sell used shoes, right? So
For sure.
so don't think just because you wear your shoes, you can't resell them after that too. Now, if they're beat, that's a whole different story.
Well,
But
think about some of these shoes. Like I said, like the Nike SB dates
Yeah.
back to 2002. If you have one of the very first pairs of Nike SBs that were put out, one of the very first profiles they did was the Danny Supas.
Yeah.
If you've got those, even if they're in worn condition, I mean, that shoe right now, we're in 2025. That's a 23-year-old shoe. To find that shoe right now is going to be near impossible. So
Impossible.
even if it's been worn, there's going to be holding value to
Yeah.
it. So with shoes, we're talking a lot about Nike. Obviously, there's multiple brands, especially in the sneaker game. You got Reebok and New Balance and Keds
Yeah.
and Chuck Taylors and all those things. But let's focus on, like, if you were to have top 5 wish list
Yeah.
of shoes, whether you currently own them
Yeah.
or shoes that you would want. Let's get deep into the mind of Trey.
Okay.
What are those 5 shoes that you would be?
So I'm going to name 5 that I've actually, at some point in time, I have owned all 5 pair of these shoes.
Yeah.
During the pandemic is when I actually sold my collection and then opened my gym.
Okay.
So that's what happened as far as like me getting out of it. But now I'm starting to get back into shoes. It's something that never fully leaves you.
Yeah.
So
Do you think a shoe collection would ever be able to fund opening your own business?
I know, no, never,
Crazy.
ever. And I know, even telling people that and they hear it, they're like, "There's no way." But yes, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like it happened. So my top 5, no specific order.
Okay.
Travis Scott low mochas. So the first Travis Scott's.
Originals.
Now keep in mind, I told y'all I'm a big collaboration guy.
Yeah.
So Travis Scott won lows. Let's go calls.
Jordans, they're huge popular.
The
hugely
black ones
popular.
and the gray ones.
Yeah.
Glow in the dark soul. I mean, insane. Let's go off white. Chicago Jordan 1s.
So for those that aren't familiar with Off-White, what does that mean?
So Off-White is a guy named Virgil Abloh,
Yeah.
and he was a designer for Louis Vuitton, but he also had his own company called Off-White. And how Off-White worked is, let's pretend this is not a collaboration with Nigel Sylvester. Let's just imagine that Jordan came out with this Jordan 4 and it was just red.
Right.
Period, point blank. What he would do is he would add his Off-White collaboration to it. What that means is he would put Off-White here in quotations. So he would put that on there. He would put Nike headquarter address in the inside of it.
Pretty cool.
He would have different laces, and he would put in quotations shoelaces on the shoelaces. So it's just like that. That's kind of like his kind of like element that he added onto the shoes. He did the same thing with clothes.
Okay.
So like a t-shirt, he would have like a regular t-shirt in quotation that might say t-shirt on it.
Right.
So and funny story is that Virgil Abloh actually helped he helped me come up with my design of my gym. So the Fit Society, that's why I have it in brackets, because it's that whole off-white.
I've known you for so long.
I know.
Never knew that.
I know,
That's
right?
Crazy.
So yeah, so Virgil was definitely a somebody I looked up to from a design standpoint too. So
Well, and you talk about like how does it impact culture today?
Yeah.
So Virgil's no longer with us; he's passed
Yeah.
away. But now the new head designer
Yeah.
that took over his spot, Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
So for those younger millennials that grew up with Pharrell from the rap and music scene and production scene, now he's head designer. So you get that influence in there.
Correct.
From that perspective.
So and also like people don't know that Virgil Abloh went to design school with Kanye West. So him and Kanye were real good friends.
Yeah.
And when Kanye was doing his whole Yeezy thing, like when he started Yeezy, Virgil was doing the whole off-white thing.
It's wild.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So the off-white Jordan 1 Chicago's would be where I'm at 1, 2, 3.
S3.
Yeah, let's go. I gotta talk about some SBs. Wow,
Okay.
I'll have you sitting in front of me, right?
Yeah,
I'm
my
gonna go Red Lobster SBs.
Okay.
So literally we think of lobsters, they're red.
The red.
And the shoe, as you know, looked just like the lobster pattern, like
Yeah.
crazy.
And that's a cool thing about SBs too. I hate to kind of jump in there, but what's great is they do variety
Yeah.
of the same silhouette. So you've got the red lobsters, they've also got green lobsters, purple lobsters,
Yellow.
They've got a friends and family white lobster that
Yeah.
just came out. That's the newest addition
Oh, that's
into it.
sick.
The yellow lobsters, talk about those hard to find ones.
Yeah.
Those are $20,000+ shoes right there. Blue Lobsters as well. So you've
Yeah.
got variety within each of the silhouettes from a color perspective. So not only can you just
I
collect
love it, man.
lobsters, you can collect 5 different variations
Yep.
of lobsters.
I love it. And my last one's going to be, let's go shattered backboard Jordan 1.
OGs.
The leather, yeah, the OGs, the 1.0s, the leather on them was so plush, man. You
Yeah.
could push it in, it soft come back. Story behind that one, Jordan was playing in the league and he went to go dunk and he shattered a backboard.
Mhm.
And the jersey he had on was like an orange and black jersey. So
How
that's
cool
where
is
that whole
that?
shattered
How
backboard
cool.
thing came from. Yeah.
They got it. I love the
I'm
story
big on
behind the shoes,
collaborations,
man.
man.
I love the story behind the shoes.
Yeah. Let's talk about yours. I know we
Yeah.
got a lot of SBs in there.
They're all SB. Well, all SBs with the exception of one. So I am going to jump on the silhouette of the Jordan 4.
Okay.
I can't afford them. If I ever could, the one pair that I would want to get, again, shows my age and all those things. I'm a big Eminem fan.
Yeah.
They did a collaboration with Eminem. To get your hands on an
I remember
Eminem
that.
Jordan 4 is nearly impossible. But
Yeah.
if you can find one, that would be one of the grail shoes that I would love to have in my collection. Another one, so I was born on Halloween, which is kind of cool. So we got a bunch of horror stuff behind
For
me.
sure.
There's a story behind it. So back in the day when Nightmare on Elm Street was coming out,
Okay.
the Nike SB decided to do a collaboration and they made a Freddy Krueger SB Dunk. Well, they didn't have permission or the authorization from the movie to actually put the shoes out. So the shoes were manufactured in Mexico.
Okay.
They automatically put a cease and desist on them.
Yeah.
And some of those snuck through. So there's rumors, there's a lot of stories. This is kind of like one of those urban legend myths that goes on. How many pairs are out in existence? We don't know. It could be 20 pairs, it could be 2,000 pairs.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that worked in the production facility grabbed pairs and held them for themselves. The rest were supposed to be burned. And so a lot of were thrown with gasoline or oil on them. And some of the shoes that you can find now will still have the oil marks on them.
That is wild.
So to get my hands on a shoe like that would be a grail for me.
That gives me
sure.
Honest Wagner vibes. That's what Honest Wagner is. So
it's just a
supposed to get rid of
cool,
it.
Backstory behind it. So that would be certainly one that I would be into. Two of them that I'm going to say now. I'm kind of a minimalist. So on the SB front, you can see like these Futurids here. They're really colorful. But for my everyday wear, I like things that are a little bit more minimalistic. So this first pair I'm going to share, this is actually called the 420 Hemps. They were put out. It's a really neutral colorway, but the canvas material on them sets them apart, which is really cool. A little bit different. Nike has this thing where every 420, you know what that means. They put out a different shoe, so they've got the skunks. They've got.
I was going to say the skunks. Yeah. So I do like the skunks too.
They got a bunch of variations there.
Yeah.
The other one, and this is cool too because it has a history to it. A very simple silhouette. Like when you first look at it, these are called the Truckets. Now they have a high and a low version of it. This dates back, and the reason why the story of how SBs were founded is so prevalent is because the word truck, it means it's supposed to represent the journey that Nike has taken when making the SB. So how far they've come from 2002 when they first produced them all the way through the years. And the actual lines on the Nike, the colors are supposed to be reminiscent of like what you would see as pinstripes on an RV.
Oh.
So it's a little bit different. So it's got a cool story to it, a great backstory, but a simple shoe that you can kind of wear and match up with just about anything. So that's a really cool story. And then the last one that I would love to get my hands on again in my size, dead stock, trying to find them. You're probably talking about north of $2,000 for a pair. But go back to my passion for Saturday morning cartoons. I grew up G.I. Joe, He-Man, Grayskull. They've got a Skeletor SB Dunk. It's purple.
Oh, I bet that's crazy.
It's a purple, black, and teal. We'll put pictures in the descriptions here. Really awesome shoe. I'd love to get my hands on that shoe. So those would be the 5 that I've got 2 here just to give you an example. But those 3 would be 3 grails.
It's a solid list, man, especially to some of you, because I know SB people are fanatics. So
it's SB or nothing for a lot of them, for sure.
So there's some people that have no idea what you're talking about. There's some people that's on their girl list too. So that's cool. And I'm more of like when it comes to sneakers, I was always Jordan 1, Jordan 4 is my favorite sneaker silhouette. So it's cool that we have 2 totally different styles when it comes to this. So it'll help like a broad range of people. That's awesome, man.
And there's no right or wrong answer on what you collect, which is really cool about it. So this is the thing that I'll say. Like I always like to give disclaimers. There's always positives and there's always some negatives into whatever collection or hobby you're into. There's going to be naysayers in the sneaker market. There's going to be those people that, you like what you like and you collect what you like. And people are always going to have opinions. And you know what they say? Opinions are like a-holes. We all have them. We all stink. So don't let people's opinions discourage you. You're going to hear the term that gets thrown out as we do these episodes, a grail shoe. So what does that mean? So in a lot of people, the term grail will mean those unattainable shoes, those shoes that are really low in circulation, that are
Yeah.
hard to get. To me, I don't use that as my definition.
Yeah.
My definition of a grail is what is meaningful to me, what's impactful to me, what's important to me. You can't answer out there what's
Yeah.
right for me. You
Yeah.
can't answer what's right for me. It's what
Yeah.
I like.
Yep.
What you like is what you like. So
That's
don't
it.
let anybody ever discourage you from that perspective.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's a good mindset to have with it. As people should anything in life, right?
Right.
As long as it's something that's not harming you or hurting you or like things like that, then if that's what you want to do, man, by all means do it. You another term I'm gonna throw out there is hype beast.
Mm.
A lot of people would call me a hype beast for getting one of these, but
Yeah.
come to find out, Jordan 4 is my favorite silhouette. Jordan 1's my favorite silhouette. I'm a 49ers fan. It's a red shoe. It just makes
Perfect.
sense. Yeah. So yeah, you'll hear all kind of different terms thrown around, and we'll try to help explain some of them to you, tell you what they mean, and
The lingo.
just educate. The whole point of this podcast is to educate, right? We are not know-it-alls, but we do have a wealth of information in this realm that we want to get out and share with you as well.
Yeah, and we do have some resources we're going to share with you guys as well. Trey's got a close buddy that owns a multiple shops, sneaker stores here within the Charlotte market, as well as expanding out beyond that.
Yeah.
I've got some connections in the world of Whatnot, some really great resellers that have upwards of 100,000 followers on Whatnot. We're going to bring them on, have them talk about their journey, what got them into it, how you can get started. So really cool things to look forward to. But just know that when we're talking sneakers, I mean, it is just a world of possibilities on what you can go after, the colors, the way that you can put them into your outfits and mix and match. And I think that's what makes them such a broad appeal. Is this is what I tell my wife all the time, right? She's like, why do you have some of these like really wild looking sneakers? And I was like, well, like when you look at women typically in the clothes that they can wear, they can accessorize with all different kinds of jewelry.
Oh, for sure. Hairstyle. Yeah, all that.
Guys' clothes are very minimalistic.
Yeah.
You know, unless you can pull it off. I can't pull off some of the stuff that like an Odell Beckham Jr. would wear, or some of those guys would wear, Seth Rollins would wear, Debo would wear. So how can I express myself? It's right here on my feet.
Yep.
So that's an opportunity for me to outwardly express myself a little bit and get some of that flavor in there. And that's why I kind of really gravitate to and are passionate about shoes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'll make one more point that I knew about it, but I'm getting more into it, is the SKUs of these shoes, right? Like seeing how many are produced.
Right.
Just like that gold Prism Derrick Henry number to 10, there's 10 of them. But I was actually looking at some of the brick by bricks. They had like 20 to 30,000 different SKUs of these. So that's about how many were produced.
Right.
But they also broke it down to sizes.
Right.
So I wear a 13, and they said that it showed those 2013s produced. So I thought that was pretty cool to get into the whole SKUs.
And they've got grail sizes too, right? Those are the more sought after sizes. So typically for men, anywhere in that 9 to 12 kind of range, because there's so many people with that size foot out there, they're going to be harder to come by. Those are going to be the ones that get bought.
I think the most common size for men foot size in US is 10 and a half.
I was going to guess 10 and a half.
Yeah. So and everything's on a bell curve. So that 10 and a half is going to be the most produced because of popularity and size. Yeah.
Right. So it's exciting. Look, the world of shoes is kind of probably more broad than I even thought when I first got into collecting. You know, my doors and my mind was open wide to all the things that are out there from that perspective. So we're looking forward to being able to share all this journey with you. Next week's episode, we're going to take it back just like we did with sports cards, right? So you saw what we had to say. You look at some of these, and you're like, that looks pretty cool. Maybe something I want to dip my toes in the water.
Yeah.
How do you go about acquiring those shoes? What are the first kind of things you want to start to look for? What are some of the pitfalls to watch out for?
And one of the biggest pitfalls, these shoes, they do make fakes.
They do make fakes.
So that is a big thing. And I have, ran into that problem when I first started with shoes. I got hit with a fake or two here and there and didn't know it. And so, there are things that you can make crucial mistakes in this game too, just like any game.
Well, and I never like to push anybody aside. So I want to throw a disclaimer out there. If you own a pair of shoes that are fake, because you can intentionally buy them. You can take a pair of shoes that may be $400 or $500. You can go online and you can find them made at a Chinese,
100%.
probably the exact same factory that the real ones were made in, to the exact same specs, but you can get them for $100. If that's you and that's what you're wearing, I don't hate that at all.
Correct.
Just own it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I think shoe collectors kind of get. They get a little on their high horse and they like to call people out.
Yeah.
Listen, not everybody can afford a $500 pair of shoes, but they like the way they look. If you want to get a knockoff, get a knockoff. But if someone's like, hey, are those legit?
Yeah.
Just own up to it. That's the only thing.
Yeah. I agree with that because like you said, people wear fake jewelry all the time.
For sure.
If it's something that you're into and that's what you want to do and that's the the route that you decided to go with your shoe collecting, then own it. Don't go try to sell the shoe and you're trying to sell it for what these resell for,
Yeah.
and it's fake. You're gonna get called out on it.
Exactly. And as you should. I mean, and I'll say that I've gotten scammed before. So
Yeah.
one of our previous episodes, I showed a pair of Red Lobsters
Yeah.
on air, and
Yeah.
they came from StockX. They were authenticated by StockX.
Yeah.
The more I look into them, research them, I
Yeah.
don't think they're legit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to own up to that. I got taken. I
Yeah.
didn't know at the time. It
Yep.
happens. It is what it is.
And like I said, it's happened to me without knowing it
Yeah.
more than once. So it just comes with it, and you'll figure out. We'll try to help you figure out where they get these shoes from, so you can guarantee that they're not fake. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, you can't say that anything's 100% foolproof, but there's definitely things you can do to help prevent some of those things down the road. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. This was kind of a chance for you guys to get a little insights into us and our passion for it. So we hope you enjoyed it. Come back next week. Make sure you click on the link, subscribe, like this, share it with all the other people out there, all your sneakerhead friends. Next week, we talk about how to acquire that Guerrero.
Just like we did with sports cards.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next time. Appreciate you hanging out at the Collector's Corner.
Peace.